Hi, today we're going to make buttons. So we're going to need fireworks and we're going to launch fireworks. And once we have that going, we're going to make a new file. So we're going to go to the file menu, select new, and we get our new document settings. Make sure you have pixels set and not inches. And we want 200 by 50 and 72 dpi pixels per inch. The canvas color, we're going to leave white. A lot of people like to pick transparent, but I'm going to show you how to make it transparent when we export. So we press OK, and now we got our screen here. We can zoom in and out using this pop-up menu, but you can also use some key commands. Hold down your command key and press plus or minus, and you can zoom in and out. We're going to be zoomed in to about 400% today to work, but you saw there it was pretty small. We're going to use the rounded rectangle tool to make our buttons. So we'll grab that and draw ourselves a nice rectangle. Leave yourself a little space on each side, on all four sides, and then just try to make sure the button's centered in there as best you can. You don't have to keep the color that you have. You can pick the color that you want. So let's pick a color. I'm going to pick red. And now we're going to look at these little diamonds here on the shapes. Almost all the shapes have these diamonds. If you click on them, they do certain things. In this case, it changes the corners between rounded or inverse or angled. And then if you click and hold and drag on the diamond, you can change the shape. And we're going to pull that in as far as we can towards the middle of the button and make it this pill shape. Now we're going to add a filter. We're going to add the inner bevel to this so that it makes it kind of a 3D looking button. It's got a flat plateau there, which I don't like, so I changed flat to smooth. And you can pick how high you want the depth to be. I'm going to use about 12 here. All right, and we're done with that. Now we're going to grab the rounded rectangle tool again, and we're going to make another rectangle, rounded rectangle, from this point here to this point here. So from the top corners there, I'm going to draw another one, and it's about half the height of the button. And we're going to want to color it white. And just looking at when we make it rounded there by clicking and holding on the diamond and dragging. And when we look at it now at full size or at normal size, you'll see it actually is already getting there. This highlight's a little too bright. So we can reduce that by going to the transparency here. Right now it's 100%, or the opacity I should say. In this case it's 100% opaque, meaning you can't see through it. But we're going to lower this down to about 75 transparent. See? And now you can see a little bit of the red coming through there, and the highlight looks like it matches. Actually, this you could also type it in if you want. I think 70 looks, or 75 looks a little too high. You see 20, see how that now it's only 20% opaque, so that's 80% transparent. So I'm going to go to, looks like I did 60. And then we get a nice looking button there. You can also try playing with the edge of the highlight. Instead of anti-alias, you can pick what's called feather. This makes the pixels fade away from the center so that it slowly becomes transparent. 10 is a big fade though, it makes it fuzzy. So if we put it at like 4, now we can see that the button has more of like a plasticky quality to it. It's kind of a matte finish rather than reflective. That's kind of cool too. But I'm a fan more of the glass look, so I like to go to the anti-alias. All right, so the button is finished. So now we're going to add some text. So we need the text tool, and we're going to type in some text here. And one of the examples that I like to use is the Text-O-5. For most people, Text-O-5 is a button they're going to use to link, or they've created a link for it to jump down in your table. So then I'm going to take the text, make sure it's centered. And so I pull the box out to the edges like that, and it actually snaps to the size of the button, so you can make it perfectly centered. And there's my text. Now, even at normal size, which is that's really plain and ordinary looking text, and it's also actually a little hard to read. So we can try another filter here, which is also in the bevel and emboss section, called Inset Emboss. And it looks like the text has been punched in, like it's been pressed in. That has a very cool quality. And that makes the text look nice. I'm going to bump it down just one here, make it look more centered. And so now you can really read that. It's very easy to read. And so there's our finished button file. We're going to save this as button template, or template, however you want to pronounce that. And you're going to want to save that into your builds and press save. And I had one already in there, so I'm going to just replace it. You probably didn't, so you won't get that window. Actually, now that I think about it, a button template shouldn't have actual text in here. It should have something that we can use for later. So I'm going to call this sample. So this is like our sample button, because it's a button template, right? Okay, so I just saved that with the sample text in there. Now let's say I'm making a button. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is save the button as the name of the button. So in this case, let's say I'm making text03. So I'll type in text03, and I'll save that into my builds. Press save. To my builds. Press save. And so now I have my text03 file. And I can then go in and change the text. So this way I won't accidentally save over the template. So I have text03, and now I can just hit save and save this. I can either use the file menu or just hit Command S and save. Now we're going to export the image using our image preview that you guys are used to. And we'll go up to the saved settings and we'll select GIF WebSnap 256. All right. That's that's a system that we use a lot. And in this case, we're going to change the node transparency to either index or alpha transparency. It doesn't matter which one. They both do the same thing. And it knocks out the white that's around the outside of the button. And that makes it look really nice. And so now when we place the buttons, they're going to have this nice transparency around them. All right. However, some people will look up here and go, hey, wait a minute, you know, where my saved setting is gone. And so, but the thing is here is that these are saved settings. If you pick the GIF WebSnap 256 again, or 128, which has the 1 to 128 colors, you can see all the settings are actually set on the left there. So these are the settings for those individual saved settings. So if you pick the GIF WebSnap 256, you'll see that its setting is to have no transparency. When we switch it to index transparency, it's no longer the saved setting, and so it's not going to show up there. Okay, so if you're someone who says, "What I want a setting there," let's add one. We click on plus, and we can type in the setting that we want to have it called. GIF WebSnap 256 transparent. How about that? I'll press OK. And so now we have the setting in there. It's all the way at the bottom. I have another one that I made earlier. They both do the same thing, but that one's nicer looking, isn't it? So all the regular settings are up here, and then our new setting is down here. We select that, and we can press export. We want to make sure that we export it into our images folder. And we're going to make sure the name is proper, .gif, press export. And we get that error that we always get. Ignore this error, press OK. And we finished with our text03. You'll notice we're at the PNG file, not the GIF file. It doesn't open that one up. So we close that, and now we can go back to our template, open this up, put in new text. Highlight the text. Oh yes, sorry. First we got to save it as the file that we want to make it, right? Always want to do that first so that we don't accidentally save over our original. Want to save it into our builds, and now we can go in and do that text. We don't have to keep the button the same color as the others. If we want to make it a different color, we can do that. So now we have an orange Text04 button, or we have a purple Text04 button, or we have a green. Give me a good green. Blue? Okay. And we go to image preview. Make sure we select our setting. It doesn't show up in the saved settings for some reason, but it's working. Okay, because we can see it says index transparency. It's got the 256. It's got the index. So we press export, and button text04.gif, looking good. Export, ignore the error, and we're finished. Again, we're at our PNG file, so we want to just save, close that one, and we can select the button template again to make the rest. So using those methods, good luck. Make all the buttons for your index page.